And people look at my channel, they think, wow, this guy really likes Rias. Has he gone outside in the past week? No, actually, I've been playing Final Fantasy 14. I need professional help. And it's true, Rias is my one and only, my best waifu, my wife. However, I'm a fair man, and I think Rias deserved a lot more than she got in the anime, instead of just this princess and leading figure, you know? I think she could have been more, or at least we could have seen more of how she became the way she is. Not oh yeah, she just kind of hopped to the human world to avoid political pressure when forming her peerage. Aha, that's all folks. Now, is it dumb to overanalyze an ecchi anime? Yes. But is it fun? Yes. So I'm gonna do it anyways. Now pay attention, I'll put on some like Subway Surfers in the corner for you. So let's get into how her writing could have been improved. Anime only of course, because I can't read. Now as mentioned, Rias is a princess of the Gremory family. Little known fact, I know. A family known for their absolute desolation in the Great War. You know, it's called the Power of Destruction for a reason. With this background, there's a lot of possibilities that could have occurred, which we got none of for the most part. Her brother is one of the most powerful devils to exist. From birth, he was basically a prodigy. Imagine growing up in your siblings' overarching shadow your entire life, only to be used by your family to, you know, bond houses together. You know, jealousy, inner conflict, anger, all of this could bubble up and open so much potential for general character writing. And you know, could easily bridge a gap to how Rias became the way she is now. This stoic leader that sought her own peerage. But what did we get? None of that. None. Aside from the rating game, Rias doesn't really push back against anything. She never goes against other things people do aside from maybe shooting at Issei occasionally. And coming from like the royal aspect, imagine if it went like this. Rias, a girl born into an extremely powerful family, growing up with her older brother who was leagues ahead of her, found issues within the underworld that even her brother or family could not solve. So instead of, you know, Sir Zack's kind of just doing that. So with the disapproval of her family, she hops to the human world to build her own team. It would change the story quite a bit, but at least it would give Rias an overarching goal. Her current is a nothing. Squat. She takes things step by step. And as much as she's my best girl, her presence has kind of just disappeared as season's gone. Hell, in the final season, Ross Weiss did more than her, and that is not an exaggeration. Again, it's an ecchi anime. No one expects a deep or meaningful writing, even by DXD standards, which I and many others have praised for its very good world building. This is mainly what could have been, what Rias could have been, my good time girl, reduced to a fucking power up. Now, I mentioned earlier she hopped to the human world. That is never really talked about. That could be an entire arc by itself. Princess of a very powerful and known family just dipping to the human world. And no one really seems to give a fuck. She is a devil princess, a very prized asset in most fantasy and supernatural settings. No one gives a shit. As far as we know, no one tries to stop her. No one tries to bring her back. Her family is just really super chill about this whole thing. Losing their daughter and a really powerful asset who doesn't come to visit them often could have been a really interesting point of conflict and, you know, progression had her family give a single shit. Rias just kind of lives in the human world now. You know, it could have been a whole arc of devils being sent to try and take her back. A whole thing of her family coming around to accepting and trusting in her choices of going to the human world and making her own peerage. But the authors kind of forgot Rias existed before Issei came along. And that's not really an exaggeration either. I asked some light novel readers in my Discord, really never talked about what happened aside from her forming her own peerage. How did she establish herself in the human world? Where did she get the money? Does Hell's currency translate to yen? I don't think so. Was there cultural shock between Japan and Hell? Did her family back her? Once again, what's the currency rate between Hell and yen? Considering she is kind of the foundation for DXD existing, given she saved Issei, these really small questions become kinda big when the main story would not exist without them. What if Rias ran into tax problems before she could save Issei? The IRS strikes again. Or the NTA, which is the Japanese version. We will never know if Rias has committed tax evasion. There are so many blanks in her character compared to say Akano or even Sarah Org. We deadass know more about Sarah Org's past and ambition than we do one of the main characters. I am starting to think the authors disliked Rias at this point, even though she made him so much money. After everything, the core issue is she has no main arc. Everyone in the main group, aside from like 2, get an arc. What did her poster girl get? Nothing. A big pile of naught, which is honestly pretty surprising. Harem anime is a lot like gacha games. The viewer will say if they like one of the characters. So usually you try and flush out those characters. The author just made Rias hot and stoic and was like, you know what, that's it, call it a day. After that 2 lines of writing, she never really develops past that, aside from the romance aspect. That stoic side even begins to fade. Isn't even character writing. I think the author just started to add so many characters that Rias simply started the main spotlight. Now when she was introduced, I get the allure was like the attractive yet mysterious woman. But usually that progresses into why they're mysterious and learning about them. Rias just kind of stops being mysterious very quick. You learn about her extremely quick, which, you know, I get you wanted to get to the ecchi aspects, but still, Season 1 sets her up as this powerhouse. She was the power cap of what you knew possible. It was sick. You think to yourself, I cannot wait to see her tear shit up. Then the seasons pass, another seasons pass, and nothing happens. But then, wait a minute, something happens. Issa gets chumped by a fucking Clifford. This is it. This is Rias' big scene. Look how mad she's getting. Then from the distance you hear someone shout, hey guys, wait, over here. We have to have a Phoenix here. And this makes Rias just chill the fuck out. She just forgets she's angry. That aura-filled speech she gave, it just wiped their arse with. It is aura robbery. All of that hype gone. Thrown to the nether realm. By the 9s, I was fucking tweaking. Rias just feels a lot less fulfilled than most of the cast is. Her only real ambition is to get with Issa that we know of, which, as much as I love her character, that's kind of sad. Her biggest conflict or moment as a character was when Issa called her president, and even then, that still involved Issa. There's so much that could have been just flushed down the drain. Season 1 is peak. Season 2 still peak. But not quite as good. Season 3 is uh-oh school, but this ship is starting to go down. Season 4 is it's rain over, and that's Rias' character summed up. Don't get me wrong, is Rias still peak? Yes, very much so. Is she still my wife? Yes. Don't worry, one day I will remake DXD, and she will get actual good writing. That is my promise. But yeah, I just wanted to upload this for a bit because I thought it was interesting. Bye.